Chaz, welcome back to the show.
What an exciting day.
Isn't it?
I mean, it's great.
Is it the beginning of the Civil War, or do we expect peace henceforth?
You know what I was thinking as I was driving up today? Just listening to National Public Radio per my one time that I do that a week, driving up here. Hearing the tension in the voices and the real, I don't know, they had some guy on from a Democrat, I think, from somewhere. And
shocking. NPR had a Democrat on?
If you can imagine, like, suspend your disbelief for one moment. And the host was asking him, like, okay, well, the country's so fractured, and what do you guys need to do to bring the country back together if indeed Biden wins the presidency? And he's like, we don't got to do nothing. Was basically his answer. Like, you're asking us to do something? Screw all the Trump voters, basically.
Amazing.
That's literally basically what he said. Literally, basically. But anyhow, I was thinking, well, that's just rude, mister. And thinking, on today's show, we should just provide a sense of wonderful peace for the listener.
Solidarity.
Yeah, we're all brothers and sisters.
I usually feel like we try to sow seeds of dissension.
Today is a day for love.
Okay.
We're surfers.
So I like the idea because the only issue I have with any of this is the idea of the infighting.
Sure.
Like, I really don't care who's president, to be honest with you. Is your life going to change at all?
No.
Mine doesn't either.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I mean, we are two white heterosexual males. So, I mean,
that aren't earning, I'm personally not earning enough money to where their tax policies really affect me.
Exactly. But all to say that, whatever, like whoever's in power of these two old white men, their policies are not going to affect us negatively or positively either way, other than I suppose you can make an environmental case, but I don't even know about that.
I guess what I mean is, I understand the caveat that you're making.
I'm just saying that if we were gay African-American men or something, then maybe there would be or immigration, if we were immigrants trying to get our families over, whatever. I mean, I think there is.
Now I'm worked up again. You're right. I hope everybody voted. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
For us though, for us as white males.
You're right. Now that you remind me, this is why everybody voted this year.
Sure.
They're saying even if if Trump loses, so we're recording this Thursday morning at 10 a.m. So by the time we publish, maybe somebody will have officially won.
Sure.
But even if Trump loses, he will have garnered more votes than any other president ever. That's how many people voted.
Garnered more than last time. Garnered more than 2016.
Yeah, that's how many people have voted.
More people liked Trump.
Right.
I mean, he may not win, but more people liked him 4 years later.
Yeah.
All to say, though, I mean, I know that the en vogue thing to do is really be angry, but we don't have to be angry. We're surfers.
I agree.
We can just...
I'm angry about it not being over. I'm not even angry about it. I'm just like, I have anxiety about it. Just like all of this tension, I need it to...
go away. But I swear that the media is feeding that because everybody's on. I mean, just imagine ad rates.
Oh, I know.
CPM rates, everything is through the roof right now for the media. And so the longer they make you feel tense and like refresh, that's what I mean. It's a win-win for the media.
It is.
Until Trump loses, and then it's going to be mass layoffs everywhere.
But there will be a lot of everybody's going to be watching the news for the next couple of weeks if he does lose, because he's going to be creating pandemonium.
Yeah, he'll be. But you know what's going to happen? Said we weren't going to talk about politics, but here we are. My prediction. Would you like to know my prediction?
I would.
So Biden wins, Trump gets furious, lawsuits everywhere, fraud, Republicans don't do nothing. They sit quietly and usher him out of the White House because he's done everything they need him to do. And so they won't notice. You don't see any Republican elected official or, Mitch McConnell, all these guys. None of them are going to bat for Trump.
They're the opposite.
Yeah, they're quietly saying, trust the count, just let democracy work, blah, 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 blah. It's only Trump's campaign that's screaming about fraud and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And Ian Cairns.
I think that is actually
I talked to Ian Cairns last night. It's a good talk.
Is he a pro-Trump?
I don't know if that he's pro-Trump. I would assume from what he was saying that yes, but he was real mad about, I heard boxes of Democratic ballots are showing up, just hundreds at a time places and not necessarily conspiracy, but call it unfounded.
Completely unfounded.
Yeah.
Completely baseless, right? All of that stuff.
I mean, maybe.
But, so what's funny, it's interesting that you're saying that about the Democratic Party and them starting to kind of distance themselves, which we would have expected a long time ago.
Yeah.
Trump, and you said what Trump did for them, they wanted. I don't know that they fully understood what they were getting into when he was elected, right?
Possibly. Oh yeah, for sure. He was a wild card for sure. But
but he's a winner, quote unquote, and he's got it, and he's going to win the presidency and all that sort of stuff, which all was true. But I think with a lot of the things that he's done, he's alienated himself from the party. Certainly the party that I grew up knowing. Like my understanding of Republicans and Democrats when I was young is very, very different than what those party ideologies are now. And so I was wondering your exact thing, which is in 2024, do we see them putting Tucker Carlson as their candidate? Because that would be a more refined version of Trump who actually is pretty smart. And, despite all of his shortcomings and maybe moral corruption or whatever, he's a better version of Trump that more people would rally behind. So do they double down on Trump by doing Tucker Carlson as the candidate, or do they go back to kind of fiscal conservatism?
No, I think they'll realize that they've got a winner with parts of Trumpism, minus Trump. And so I think that exactly what you say, that's what I bet. I bet they will look forward to this 4-year period where they can kind of refine the message. They'll have the midterms to further refine and test, and then roll out a candidate who represents all the things that win about Trump without any
Grabbing
of
the
precisely without the negative personal, the crazy tweets and all the stuff that was, I would imagine if you're a party leader, that's more or less a distraction.
Well, in that case, they have a tremendous amount of PR to do because Trump has activated so many new voters, presumably being people that are anti-Trump. And so all of those new voters are now activated indefinitely, and they're anti-Republican because they view Republican as Trump. And so they got a short-term win. Maybe they got a 4-year win, but their party is now painted with Trump's orange, it went from red to orange, and that's going to be a hard optic to shift.
You ready for my second prediction? Second prediction is Trump leaves office, kicking and screaming, real mad. Kind of you don't hear from him for a minute, and then the media, knowing how badly they need him, goes to work rehabilitating Trump's image.
Oh my gosh.
Where nobody but Americans, nowhere else in the world over America do they love a redemption story. So they'll bring Trump, they'll roll him back out, except it'll be a redeemed Trump where everybody laughs at his zaniness and all that.
It's the ultimate redemption story because he's irredeemable.
Yeah, precisely. And so they'll really, really try to roll it out because they'll also know that, oh, dang it, our clicks, our sales, our everything we need Trump.
We need excitement, to be honest.
Yeah.
Honestly, that is, to everything that you've said, the theme is clicks, likes, refreshing. It's this dopamine, high level kind of frenziness. And if Joe is the exact opposite of that, which is calm and reassuring.
Sleepy Joe.
In the moment, this feels like safe to us. But after 2 weeks of it, people are going to be like, where's the zany?
Exactly.
Where's the zany?
Where's my wacky? I was waking up looking at Joe Biden's tweet and realized he said something sensible and he wasn't throwing fire anywhere.
He said nothing.
Yeah, people are going to be sad.
Here's what I want to do. I want to create a list of the people who are the worst at their jobs ever and never get reprimanded. And the number one on that list are pollsters.
Oh my goodness. I don't know
Pollsters are wrong every single time.
That was my takeaway. My one takeaway from election night was I don't know how polls exist after this. Like getting it wrong in 2016, having 4 years to know how you got it wrong with the same candidate, to retool and to get it so wrong again. I don't know I mean, you're exactly right. They are the worst at their job. And I don't know how every pollster doesn't go commit harikari just out of shame.
I think they've always been wrong. I mean, I
don't
remember.
know. I think they used to be able to call. They haven't been wrong as broadly as they have the last 2 elections. They straight up missed the call both times. I mean, flat out missed it.
Shockingly.
Like missed it just wide right. Like boom.
Does anybody get fired?
You'd think they would. And you'd think after 2, I think there's going to be a lot of hand wringing, and they'll say, okay, these are the things that we know now that we got wrong. But, and maybe they say, well, Trump was just such an outlier candidate that there was no accounting for it, that, people, the shame-filled Trump voter who would never say they were voting for him but did, there's no way to count that person, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a trillion ways to count that person, I think. I ain't no pollster. But
I feel like there's more effective counting methods now than there's ever been before.
I just don't understand.
All of social media is and Google is tracking every single search. If you can't compile that data to identify how that person is going to vote,
precisely,
and those companies can, but I know they're not. I mean, maybe that information's not available to.
If I see a Blue Lives Matter somewhere, and the person tells me they're voting for Biden, I would be extremely dubious about that information.
That would be an outlier if it were true.
I mean, if it were true, and so you could probably discount it,
right?
I mean,
exactly.
You and I should be pollsters, David.
We already are better at it than they are. I could honestly, here's how I would do it. I don't need to scrape data off Facebook or anything. I would just go buy a Facebook ad saying, I want to target people who support Blue Lives Matter to blah, blah, blah. Run the ad, see who it got fed to. And I go, okay, those people are voting Trump.
Yeah.
And then do the opposite. And go, okay, those people are voting Biden. That would be a more accurate depiction. Just using Facebook the way that it's meant to be used would give me all the information I need.
I feel I could have looked at my Instagram feed, who I personally follow, and called the race closer than the pollsters called it.
Well, so what's interesting about the race is how evenly split it is. I mean, this is really America is divided on a 49.9 and 50.1.
Yep.
Line. But it's insane.
Which is totally insane. And I mean, I think, again, the guy who said, why do we have to get along? Screw them.
Yeah.
Was an African-American. And so was feeling very angry at, assuming that Trump says racist stuff all the time, right? Yeah. And all the racial unrest that he's very clearly stoked all that. So totally that, obviously that guy, I'd say screw Trump voters all day long. But for everyone else, I suppose, I mean, there's going to have to be, like, sitting on the polar fences is silly, I think. And when Trump goes away, I mean, I don't know why Republicans defended his behavior anyway. I suppose they would say they didn't. But how can you be a fan of a politician? I would ask this of the Trump voters. How do you be a fan of any politician? Like, really brand yourself with that politician. That's weird to me. Like,
totally.
It's weird to be as an adult, huge fan of an actor or actress too.
Right.
Or, like we talked about, wearing the jerseys, a huge fan of an athlete. You can appreciate it, you can like it, but being such a fan that you're willing to, like, slug people in the face
totally
over your fandom is bizarre.
You're the problem. In that case, you're always the problem. I experienced that too, growing up in church, where it's like the pastor, you have to realize that is a human being who has because ultimately, I mean, not in our church, but I remember stories of pastors sleeping with the secretary or some woman in the congregation who was married, and it ruins everybody and everybody's upset. And it's like, you put anybody in a position of power and they're going to start doing weird stuff and taking advantage of the power, whether they are in a religious role or a political role, especially if they're in a political role. Human beings are full of foibles.
Sure.
And they will make mistakes. And so it's incumbent upon us to not put those people on a pedestal and to recognize those things.
And or to, forgive.
Yes,
like even your Trumpy neighbor, right? Like I think, I don't know, and people may totally disagree, but a ounce of forgiveness goes a long way. If you can say, okay, look, I really think you're a racist because you back Trump, but I'm gonna forgive you for that. Internally, personally, totally. I don't know. And maybe that is completely naive to say to forgive latent racism, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's back to the thing of solidarity is the most important thing right now. So the forgiveness is important. That person probably needs it more than anybody, to be honest. But to your point about venerating the politician, it's okay to subscribe to a party's ideals.
For sure.
But don't get in bed with the politician, because
you can like him.
There's no other human being on the planet, by the way, whose ideals and worldview aligns perfectly with yours. There's always going to be differences. And so don't put it on a politician.
Nope.
Because they will disappoint.
Amen.
You know? Here's one other thing that I just got a note saying we're not going to have election results until Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, okay, whatever. The other thing that blows my mind to think about with this whole process is, remember when Bloomberg was going for the Democratic nomination?
He was pub.
Well,
no, he never.
Oh, you're right.
He never really. Did he get in? Did he go with one party? I can't remember.
He put in hundreds of millions of dollars into that campaign. I forget what the number was. I think it was like 300 million at the time, but that was only like one influx of cash. He put $300 million of his own money at once into his campaign. Think about Tulsi Gabbard, right? I remember friends of mine just being like, giving her $10 at a time or whatever to support the campaign. All of those billions of dollars in the last 8 months spent and gone.
Done.
Gone.
They didn't buy anything. I mean, I guess some of them bought a candidate or a place.
They bought advertising with the money. Like, all of the money spent on these campaigns is for nothing.
That's why we're going to be pollsters now, though. Instead of
take some of that money.
Yeah, we're going to take some of that money. Well, hey, I'll give you. You want a poll? Let me look at my Instagram feed to see what the people I follow are jabbering about.
It makes me think, like, when we were young, if I don't know, if you were interviewed by ABC, you basically, that meant you were going to win, you know, or like you needed very little kind of recognition socially and from the media to really elevate your campaign. Now I feel like everybody's in our face all the time. They're, by the way, there was, who was the senator that spent like presidential levels of money and lost?
Yeah, it was the guy who was going against Lindsey Graham in South Carolina. Yeah.
Exactly. $100 million or something like that, and lost.
The most expensive Senate race in U.S. history.
So I feel like nothing sticks anymore.
Yeah.
Strangely, there's more money being thrown around than ever, and nothing sticks at all.
Is it illegal to just buy somebody's vote? Is it expressly against the law?
One individual's vote?
I mean, could I take my $100 million and say, hey, you vote for me, you get a 20?
I don't know.
Go to the next door. Hey, you vote for me, you get a 20.
I mean, where does the line between advertising to that person versus giving them the money directly?
I mean, that's what I wonder. I mean, could Bloomberg say, what's his dude say that? Andrew Yang? Remember Andrew Yang? Let's go back in the day. Andrew Yang said, basically, if you vote for me, I will send X amount of money to your house.
He was sending $1,200 to people.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was going to be. Yeah. So,
I mean, there was the universal base income concept.
Sure.
If he became president. But during his campaign, he was sending $1,200 to people.
So, yeah.
Out of his own pocket.
Yeah. I would like to do that. I'm going to run. So not only am I going to be a pollster, I'm also going to be a politician. It's going to be and then just say, hey, I'm not spending money on advertising.
Right.
If you want $50, you don't really care about your vote that much. Just cough it this way.
It's smart.
Yeah.
It's just cut out the middleman.
It's got to be illegal. It's got to be illegal to expressly purchase a vote.
We'll figure out a workaround.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be easy workarounds. I'll just give you stinking $50 worth of donuts. You can, I mean.
Nobody needs $50 worth of donuts. That'll last you a year.
What about a razor, a year's supply of razors and shaving cream?
I hate buying razors.
It's such an annoying thing when you have a hairy face and have to go to the store and buy a razor and shaving cream. So annoying.
They're so expensive.
It's a total waste. Yeah. So
perfect segue into our ad brought to you by follow up from last week. I accidentally bought CaholiAndino.com. It wasn't Chloe Andino.
Yep. I ran with the story anyway. The story was built, stuck it out there.
On air, I thought that I got it. And you even said to me, you're like, are you sure you spelled it right? Yeah. I don't think that he would not have locked that down. I was like, I spelled it right, man. No, I spelled it incorrectly, but we could still use Cajoli Andino, or we just forevermore refer to him as Cajoli Andino, and that becomes
the new Kolohe.
Yeah. And then the site's
Kajole
worth
is
something.
the new Kolohe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make Kolohe Kajole again.
If you just remove the first O and just pronounce it Chloe,
Chloe?
it's still pronounced Chloe. That's how Khloe Kardashian spells
Sure.
it.
Oh man, maybe we just swap Andino out for Kardashian.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's available.
Chloe. What's happening over on the Beach Grit open thread for the election? I saw like 700 comments, so I didn't even click.
Oh yeah, it was good. It was. I mean, it was. To me, Beach Grit's comments are the most high-minded debate around because I think everybody knows that. Okay, I got to bring my funny game, even when I really disagree, and there is genuine disagreements in there. But I think everybody knows that they have to be at least vaguely entertaining.
Yeah.
Which when people are having to be entertaining or being entertained, I think that's what politics writ large is lacking, is people aren't trying to be entertaining, or being entertained by it. They're just being triggered and freaked out by it.
Yeah.
So if you're like super easily triggered, Beach Grit comments are not the place for you, right? And so nobody's in there triggering or trying to trigger. Everybody, I thought, was really being is just great. I mean, that's the way it should. That politics is blood sport, and
Everybody's just having a good time.
Yeah, and you expect people to take swings and get punched in the face, but also, again, back to my good friend Ian Cairns. I think I talked about it on air before. I have a really, really hard time calling somebody by their nickname unless like we are nickname friends. Like calling him Kanga, just like we did. We talked about it with Riss. Like I can never call Carissa Moore Riss because it implies a level of, for me, it implies a level of familiarity that I don't want that person to have to own my fake familiarity with them, right? So I call him Ian Cairns, or even though Cairns is an impossible last name to say.
It is, yeah. It's awkward.
And even though everybody else calls him Kanga, and he calls himself Kanga.
Does he?
Yeah. I mean, or if he's telling a story.
He named his memoir Kanga.
Yeah, and if he's telling a story like, oh, this person said, hey, Kanga, come over here. Like,
right.
He doesn't say, hey, Ian, come over here. Anyhow, Ian, so we had Ian on Dirty Water last night, so it'll be coming out today or tomorrow, I suppose. But talking politics, talking election. Ian's, a super opinionated guy, got fantastic surf stories. But the way Ian and I got, just like, I think I've met more people this way than any other way in my life, as I wrote something dumb and he just came out and smashed me somewhere on Facebook or something. Just really, really like, you dumb cunt, whatever, like, whatever. Like, and I laughed at it and shared it with Derek. Derek said, oh, hit him back. And I did. And then we met at the stinking San Clemente courthouse and just had a big laugh. And, that he's a classic Australian in that way of just, that's the best way, right? You'd really punch each other and then everybody goes and has a beer afterwards.
Why were you at the courthouse?
It was for the
Trestles?
No, the nuclear thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was to get married.
I was going to say that's a really disappointing follow-up. Yeah, we got in this huge fight. So anyways, we ran into each other at the courthouse.
Yeah, but
he was filing a police report.
But I would love for back to the politics go, and that's what I feel Beach Grit's comment section is through the whole political thing is real punches thrown, punches taken, tempers flared. People angry, but at the end, I don't know, and it doesn't seem like any of it sticks. It seems like
correct.
We're in a community, and we can fight in this community, but we're also in this. We are all, grumpy locals, or we're all middle-aged white nihilists, or we're all whatever.
And it's also not whiny.
Yeah, no,
whiny's the worst.
Yeah,
it's just
drink a cup.
Proverbial
of
punches thrown.
Yep.
And thrown back. And at the end, everybody sleeps well. And it's like getting in a fight with your brother when you're a kid.
Yep.
Rather than sleeping with the tension and harboring resentment, you just fight it out and then you feel great afterwards.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it's a release. Why aren't we recording on Fridays anymore?
Homeschooling.
You got homeschool obligations.
I do. I mean, it's something that child now is in, she gets 2 hours and a half in school 3 or 4 times a week, but I'm ripping her out one of those times a week on Friday to go actually rip it. Real kind of sail and learn math in the sailboat and how that applies to sailing. Or last Friday, built a go-kart, used their math to build a go-kart and then raced it down a hill, and sort of this applied learning, because they're just
smart,
straight up not getting that at school. She is distanced with the mask on, can't even play on the playground. And then you go home and punch on your iPad, and I have to be sitting there riding herd on her to do her iPad. There's just that's not the way kids learn. I had the revelation, I've been doing this now we've been doing this for, me and friends have been doing this for, I guess, 2 months now, but, had the revelation, had 18-year-old, daughter who's at University of Arizona and 7-year-old daughter who's in elementary 2nd grade, sitting there, both distance learning on their iPads or computers or whatever, realizing this whole distance learning thing is force the 7-year-old to learn like that's all great to sit and whatever in college and high school. Stinking 7, you're supposed to be out experiencing. That's how you're learning. You're experiencing. And so I am insisting now that nope, no more Friday school for her. I will take her out of distance, whatever, crap school. Not that it's crap. I'm sure her teacher's great and everything, but take her out of that and go get her in the dirt. And, we're going to do a big math scavenger hunt tomorrow in the park where they have to use, solve problems to get to the next place, work together, blah, blah, blah. So that's it.
Side note, do you have homeless people in your park?
I don't know. The next one we're going to, you may know, it's a park in Costa Mesa. It's a shifting environment. Yeah.
All right. Let me know where you end up.
Okay.
Because Costa Mesa, now it's funny you brought that up. Costa Mesa, homeless problem, huge homeless problem. We see people straight out doing drugs in the street, like smoking a crack pipe.
Yeah.
They used to go hide in the bushes. Now it's like just straight out on the street. See people like laying on the side of the road, taking a nap. There's a big rehab kind of culture there. Like there's 5 or 6 like world renowned rehab centers. And so then you see people like around those places wandering the street, but in Newport Beach. So Costa Mesa, for those who don't know and live somewhere else, is adjacent to Newport Beach, but it's in Newport too. Like Newport Beach, one of the highest kind of, property values in America, and you deal with homelessness right on the same street.
Have you been to downtown LA recently?
Yes.
It's just straight Blade Runner. LA.
It really is.
Blade Runner or downtown LA is...
Any green parkway in LA is covered with encampments.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep.
Like and that's not an exaggeration.
No.
At any rate, back to you doing homeschooling. That was a segue into a surf topic, believe it or not. It wasn't out of pure curiosity.
Amazing.
For how you're teaching.
Amazing.
It was to say that this week I had a revelation of my own, and that is that the next revolution in surfing is not only youth, it's specifically women's youth.
Oh, yeah.
Girls.
For sure. Sierra Kerr.
The Sierra Kerr deal kind of solidified it. So she just signed with Volcom. She was on Roxy before, but I watch her surf and I go, there's no more marketable surfer in the world, period. She's like pro level skater, pro level surfer. She's a great little golfer. And then I thought, so Jackson Dorian, who's male, but he's
has long hair.
Yeah, he's got long hair. He's been in Nicaragua. He just released a video with Aaron Brooks, kind of a sparring partner of his. And she's, I think, 14 years old, so right in the same age as Sierra Kerr, and she's absolutely shredding. And so in both those scenarios, I thought, what is the big unlock for these kids? And it's Shane Dorian and it's Josh Kerr. 2 guys who surfed professionally at the highest level, like A-list professional surfers, traveling the world for 20 years. And then after that, focused on kids, but never stopped traveling, taking their kids with them. I'm presuming that their kids just innately got into surfing, that it wasn't forced upon them. And so the kids are actually phenomenal surfers now in their early teens, benefiting from all of their parents' mentorship, guidance, and world travel. You're talking about learning kind of in real world scenarios. What could be better than world travel?
Completely. I completely agree. You hit not only the parental aspect. So any pro surfer, go have a daughter. because that's your future, I suppose.
Exactly.
But also, I see that young girls will be inspired by Sierra Kerr and all this in a way that maybe everybody's been marketing it boys so much that I wonder if companies just start shifting. Okay, and young girls who are inspired by Sierra Kerr, Coco Ho, or whoever, then go buy Volcom, go get a board, go surfing. Like, I wonder if that's
how did it take this long?
Yeah, I mean, because look at how slow the surf industry moves. Slow.
Well, yeah, it does.
But I think we're also in a new era of female and like where female empowerment is now no longer a buzzword. It is like, third or fourth or fifth, whatever generation. Like Sierra Kerr is born not thinking I can't do whatever I want to do, right?
Correct.
I would hope.
And at the risk of sounding chauvinistic, she surfs better than female predecessors did.
Yeah.
Just bar none. And I think that that's not in relation. It's probably most in relation to what you were just saying, which was all of these kind of social structures that were in place that just kind of, Carissa Moore didn't have as many female mentors to look up to, and she paddles out at pipe and she can't get as many waves and all that sort of stuff. Sierra's had a lot more boundaries broken down for her to where now she can kind of take whatever path she wants. And then with the benefit of dad helping her kind of through it all, taking her to the best waves in the world, essentially, is what it comes down to.
I mean, then also all the endless access to wave pools, right? I mean, I wonder how much that progresses somebody like Sierra and at least the air game.
Yeah.
Of, Carissa Moore or Lisa Anderson or whoever else, they didn't have that kind of canvas.
No.
They had to go ply their trade only in the ocean, where Sierra gets to bounce back and forth.
Right. So you guys, I think Derek posted the latest Jamie O'Brien vlog with, the title is Surfing Pipeline with Carissa Moore. I actually watched the video.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I did. And that's part of what I wanted to talk about today too. So we'll get to it. But as it relates to Carissa Moore, first of all, that's what it's titled. That's only 3 minutes of this 30-minute video. Did you watch it?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he literally does all these other things and then for 3 minutes surfs Pipeline with Carissa Moore. And she actually called him and asked for, like, I want to get better at pipe. Can you go and show me the ropes?
Which Jamie does, like, famously, right? I mean, he showed Adriano de Souza the ropes. I think I think there's been a handful of pros that Jamie teaches him pipe.
Which the funny part about it was it looked like he was calling her into the worst waves.
Yeah.
If you watch the footage, she doesn't ever get a barrel.
Oh, really?
She eats crap. Like, honestly, it was kind of like her. I know she's a great surfer. Out there, she looked completely out of sorts. And Jamie was riding a foamy, a soft top, like a 9 foot,
Just
soft, 8
goofing
foot.
around.
Dude, he was getting the best waves of the day. Jamie would pull into like perfect barrels, be perfectly positioned, get spit out. And then they'd show Carissa paddling into a closeout, going over the falls and eating it.
Isn't that the part of the thing that makes pipe so difficult, though? Is
Of course.
You can't tell what, like...
But the point is, he's then saying, yeah, I called Carissa into that wave. And he's out there telling her which waves to go on. And from the footage, she went on straight closeouts and went over the falls time and time again.
And he accidentally went on perfect barrels.
Every time.
Good job, Jamie.
But it was kind of a referendum on the lack of ability, like, or the limit of Carissa's ability. That firstly, I was like, wow. So using Sierra Kerr's, first of all, doing crazier airs than any of the women on tour, just full stop. And she's getting crazy barrels that I've not really seen a lot of other, I mean, there's some Tyler Wright footage, Carissa, a couple waves at Cloudbreak, and a couple at Backdoor probably too. But then, so I'm just used to watching Sierra Kerr this week. And then watching Carissa Moore at Pipe, I was like, oh my gosh, Carissa's learning how to surf still. Is what the difference looked like. I mean, and then I secondarily was like, oh, that was Jamie. Jamie was the one calling her in.
I just wonder though, if the advancement in female surfing is just on on a L shape or whatever, like just a rocket, where Sierra is infinitely better than Carissa, and the person who comes after Sierra will be infinitely better than Sierra. But I don't even think that could be possible, right? Sierra surfs literally, from what I can tell, as good as half the guys in the CT.
For sure. Yeah. And there's other examples like Aaron Brooks, Sky Brown, that little girl from YouTube. Like there's a generation. It's all kind of happening at once. And on the male side, there is too.
Yeah.
Jackson Dorian, this little kid, this like 8-year-old kid out of, I think it's Argentina or Peru that I see clips with every once in a while, just freaking shredding.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a youth movement, which is an interesting little detail here is they're COVID immune.
They are.
In 2020, where all of the adults are cowering in their quarantine, the kids are like, screw it, plane ticket to Costa Rica or to Nicaragua.
Gonna go rip one.
Yeah.
Good on them.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting about the future of surfing. That is antidepressive right there.
It's antidepressive, and I will also throw some of the limelight on the dads.
Yeah. I mean, of course. Well, I would imagine that both, or Josh in this case, since he has a daughter, I mean, he must have just not ever had a barrier up for Sierra. I mean,
Definitely.
Yeah, let's go rip some, reeling, reefy barrels. Let's go hit that section, hit it harder.
Everywhere that I'm going, come along.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I mean, funny, I've met Josh Kerr's, I think I've said this on air before, but met his mother-in-law so long, like must have been 12 years ago, 15 years ago, forever, ever ago at Trestles. I was covering it for Stab or something. And she just was glowing about what an amazing son-in-law. I think they had, his wife, I think, had kids from either previous marriage or something. What a fantastic father he was to those kids. On and on and on and on, just glowing. So I think Josh Kerr is just a phenomenal human being.
I'm a huge fan, and everything that whenever he gets kind of questioned about that, and I even remember when I interviewed him, I asked him about how do you, given that Sierra's so talented and like has all of this attention, how do you father your other kids? Like, do they feel left out? Ultimately they're going to, so how do you kind of accommodate for that? And he was I don't remember what he said, but it was very thoughtful and thought out.
Yeah.
And like, yes, we're fully aware and we make sure that this and that. And
I mean, I reckon if you're a kid with a preternaturally talented sibling, do you just know? Like, yeah, that kid
Totally.
is like, that kid rips, and I very clearly don't. So I'm just going to go off and do something else.
I remember recently Steven Slater saying, it was actually Kelly being interviewed by Tim Ferriss was talking about, Steven told me at some point that he wished that he would have pursued something other than surfing. Because there was just no way that he was going to try to compete. He would always be third fiddle.
But even you, so what? So you're don't do surfing. You go be a bad, tennis player or something. I mean, that kind of talent. It's not like if Slater's brother decided to do something else that he'd be any good at it. I mean, he would just maybe suck at something different than surfing.
He's a really mediocre sandwich artist at Togas.
Yeah, it's like he does okay. He does pretty well.
So does Hemi have any interest in surfing?
Yeah, she loves it. Okay. But I am no Josh Kerr. I ain't Josh Kerr.
She's going to be the best at scavenger hunts.
May surprise you. It may surprise the listeners that I don't surf exactly like Josh Kerr. But yeah, she, I've just, for her, just tried to, I've taken her everywhere. It's usually me and her together.
Yeah.
And I'm always kicking her down hills. And I got big busted when we were in Cabo. I know Josh Kerr this way either. I took her out the back of a point to surf and literally pushed her through the rocks, pushed her on a wave. It was like a good, probably head high for me. So, hugely overhead for her, just pushed her straight. I don't know what I think I thought she was going to wipe out and I would get her before the rocks, but she didn't wipe out. Went straight. There's like craggly rocks. I couldn't see. I was just like, uh-oh, but like kind of laughing, but like, it was like a very serious mistake on my part. Wife is on the inside, freaking out, scrambling over, like paddling over the rocks. Then I kind of, wave got in my way. Next thing I know, Hemingway is walking on the sand, kind of slump shoulder, just dragging her forward behind her, like whatever. Like I got to since my wife beached herself on the rocks, cut herself up and everything,
Oh
trying to
my
get to her.
gosh,
I got to the sand and I was like, hey, are you okay? And she's like, yeah. Like, had no,
Not
and
even
then
phased.
zero phase. And I said, did you surf, like, go through the rocks? Yeah. What were you thinking? Oh, I saw that rock. I passed this rock here, and then I went over this one. And then she was just like
Crazy.
observing the rocks as they went by, but didn't care. Whatever, like just cruising through. But yeah, all to say, she's a full hell charger in everything. I mean, she will jump off anything, go on anything, skis way too fast. And the wife always gets upset at my pushing that.
Yeah.
Not upset, but like, and to ramble on a way too long story. Like I'm taking her, we ripped around Europe in the coronavirus, planning a trip to drive across Africa.
Oh my gosh.
And another trip to go hike the Himalayas in Pakistan. So this is what I'm Josh Curring for her. And the wife feels very, very, timid, not timid at all. Cersei is like the bravest person I know, but she's like, are you kidding? That is my baby girl.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there saying, we're Teflon.
Well, with the case of the surf story, did Cersei reprimand you?
Oh man, I deserved to get reprimanded. It was not a good idea. I was being totally cavalier.
Yeah.
Just assuming she was going to fall and not ride all the way. But once, I don't know it was an awful mistake that I will not repeat. And I definitely do need to be more careful with her. But I've always felt my whole life that I am coated in Teflon. Nothing's going to happen. And I feel that way about her.
Because even though Hemi was fine in the end, Cersei and yourself getting worked up to that level of anxiety is hard to come down from. So when you go interact with the kid and the kid goes, oh, I'm fine. It's not like it erases all of your anxiety. She's still going to be needing to point the finger at somebody.
I got reprimanded as I full well should have and needed to learn that lesson, etc. Like it was not cool of me.
You know what's hilarious is every story you tell about fatherhood, I see through the eyes of raising my dog.
Yeah. Perfect.
I'm just like, yeah, I know. Sophie did this the other day at the dog park. I know exactly what you're talking about. I felt that level of anxiety too. We dropped her off at doggy daycare yesterday for the first time, and they have cameras everywhere. And so you can log on remotely and watch your dog play.
That's a great idea.
Dude, she got put in timeout.
For what?
She's a puppy for body checking a Great Dane repeatedly, which is her move.
Got TO'd.
We go to the dog park and she, we'll see a dog from 30 yards away and just run full speed at the thing.
And then body check.
Sometimes she'll swerve at the last minute, and the other dog always is freaked out because they'll at some point, maybe at the 10-yard mark, notice there's a dog barreling at them. So they'll like hunker down and freak out. And sometimes she'll just swerve them at the end and then come sniff. But sometimes she'll just body check them. And so it's a hard thing to stop.
But you feel pride.
We got ousted from the dog park once already. So
you don't think my dog's a middle linebacker? This is real sweet.
So it's not going to last long. But the problem is she was used to being 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And she's not used to being bigger now. And she's still roughhousing. Like she's a puppy, So anyways, the fact that it was with a Great Dane was hilarious, but they put her in timeout.
What is timeout at doggy?
10 minutes in, I don't know if it's a cage or what, but it's isolated.
Do you get to see what timeout is on your video?
I didn't.
Timeout off screen?
I didn't get to see.
Uh-oh.
It might be on screen. I just didn't pay attention.
I wonder if timeout is like a proper dungeon or something.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
They're
pretty progressive daycare with pools and stuff. So I don't think.
Do you have to have your all your vet records and whatnot to go to the daycare?
Oh yeah. At any rate,
pride.
Whatever Hemi wants to do in her life, she's going to be able to do because she hiked the Himalayas.
That's so
Whether
true.
she wants to be a pro surfer or not, now is the time. And by the way, mark my words, the next revolution in surfing will be the female youth.
So, that's
period.
Surfing is female.
Yeah. Now, another thought I had was in regard to the Volcom deal. Is this the first sign of rounding the bend out of the surf industry, not spending any money and
I'm going to say
ceasing to exist?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Sierra Kerr is a full-on outlier.
Okay.
And the full-on outlier there'll be money for the outlier, but there's no. Call me when I don't know, some middle tier
Wade Carmichael
gets paid, and then I'll say, okay, we're rounding the bin.
So side note, I didn't intentionally choose him, but now that I did, it triggered another thought is last year, pre-COVID, he signed with Rusty.
Yep.
That is kind of the mark of, not the beast, but like Rusty has the most short-lived careers with surfers ever. And I'm not saying that the surfer's career falls off after Rusty. I'm just saying none of those end up being decade-long relationships. Josh Kerr.
I was going to say Josh.
He took Rusty. He did as much with Rusty as you could do. But I'm thinking Sterling Spencer.
Jamie O was Rusty for
6 months.
No, I think it was 5 years. He had
Chris
4
Ward.
years.
Like what? So everybody that we name,
Yeah.
you do not associate with Rusty.
No, that's true. Except for Josh Kerr. Who do you associate?
Album.
I mean, I associate him with Album too. Just
Now.
kidding. Yeah. I mean, fully now.
Yeah.
Was Josh Kerr on? It's funny when I think of Rusty though. Typically, I don't ever think of Rusty Priesendorf for boards. Do you? I think of the R. clothing.
So my kind of formative experiences were Taylor Knox and Kalani Robb being on Rusty and Pat O'Connell. And so for those, that's what seared into my brain. But everything beyond that, I think they changed ownership a couple of times or whatever.
It's like La Jolla Group.
Yeah. So creative direction definitely was different than it was when I was when I was young. But I just remember this sequence of like somebody would sign with Rusty and I'm like, uh-oh. Like
is Wade Carmichael still on Rusty or did they force majeure?
I don't know.
Yeah. You get the forced majeure.
I was glad to see him sign with him. I'm like, well, that could be a good move. Like he needs some support and
where do you rank the R. as on the hierarchy of surf logos?
I think it's a rad logo.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot.
Like, is it top 5?
No.
Let's go all time. Surf logos. What's number 1?
Oof, interesting. R. would actually be pretty high. Like, okay.
I'm going to say R. is in the top 5. So it's a shocker.
I like the wave in the mountain.
Okay, which one? The 70s one or the Kelly Slater kind of harder angled 80s one, 90s one?
I'd have to go 80s, 90s from my youth.
Yep.
Again, that's an iconic
TNC.
Epic.
The yin yang.
The yin yang is an epic one too.
Yep.
So interestingly, even though as a Rusty, I like as a brand, I like Hurley. The logo's meaningless to me.
Hurley, bad logo.
O'Neill with a surfer in the wave, meaningless.
Billabong, crap.
I don't know. I'm okay with Billabong.
Really? The Billabong just 3-wave thing, always like it's a Sleepy Joe Biden of brand logos.
I'm okay with it.
I mean, it's fine, but it's not offensive, but it's so bland as to be. I did like the Billabong half circle Billabong spelled out in like kind of pointier font.
Yeah.
Remember that? I like that. I just didn't like I don't like the 3-wave logo. Rip curl. I love the black and white rip curl in bubbly words.
Right.
I love that one, but I very much dislike the red wave.
You're right. The red wave one. I didn't even think about that. I was thinking I like the search logo. Yeah. It almost is too intricate.
Yeah.
To really be official.
I don't count that one either. When I think of rip curl, I like to think about the words in the black words, white circle, like bubbly words or whatever.
Yeah. So interestingly, I don't think that they have stuck with one logo long enough to really be like officially branded as such. They have a bunch of these variations and it's diluted the whole thing.
Here's
Rusty's on top kind of.
I'm telling you, here's one also I'm going to put on very close to the top. We can figure out what the best is at a later, or let the listeners decide. The Body Glove Hand, top 5. Awful brand. Would never wear anything by Body Glove. Not a wetsuit, not nothing. I don't know that it's awful. That was rude of me. Sorry, Body Glove.
Love.
But the Body Glove Hand, weird and amazing.
Yeah, you're right. It is good.
Totally iconic in your brain. You know, everyone can picture the Body Glove Hand right now. Nobody has to dig through the files to find Body Glove Hand.
So I like it. I used to wear body glove wetsuits when I was a kid, and they were great wetsuits. So I'm for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about MCD, Gotcha?
Gotcha Fishman, I would say Gotcha's Fishman is #1 logo of all time.
Possible.
Gotcha's Fishman.
Hang 10's feet.
Never liked it. To granola, always. I mean, I know the brand is granola, but Patagonia never liked. Don't even like the word Patagonia, to be honest.
What is the official Patagonia logo?
I feel it's Patagonia with the like the kind of sunset in the mountains.
Again, they don't have an official logo. Sometimes it's that fish.
Yeah.
What about
the fish? I think
OP.
OP loved the OP. I would say that is. So I would say top 5. I think we're rounding out to a top 5. Gotcha's, man, we're just old men at this point because they're all brands from our youth. But
kids listening right now are like, what about Former?
Yeah.
What about Ray? No. Yeah, what about Raytveld? I was going to say Rourke, but Raytveld. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yep. But I'm going to say top logos of all time, and I would love the younger listener to chime in. But
what about Old Guys Rule?
Yeah.
What about Big Dogs?
Oh, Big Dogs. You can't run with the Big
Tommy
Dogs.
Bahama? Come on.
I'm going to say top 5 of all time. Fishman.
From Gotcha.
From Gotcha. Gotcha's Fishman. Body Glove Hand. R-Dot. Rip Curls. Bubble. And Mountain on the Wave.
I'm going to go, I think, honestly, R-Dot on top. Rusty's R-Dot.
It was a classic. I mean, it was so cool.
Yeah, it is cool. We have surf news that we need to get into before you leave. What time are you leaving?
I need
11:10.
I have 11:10 before I talk to the U.S. Marine Corps.
We'll try. Do you want to discuss what that is, or
I'm just doing a Zoom call with the U.S. Marine Corps.
They're trying to recruit you?
I hope. I think I'm too old to be recruited. I think when I realized that I was too old, because I always had, as one of my, how I plan, I have my contingencies for if my life totally. We've talked about them before. Now it's Vegas blackjack dealer, but for a long time it was military, whatever. You get fed, you get housed, you got no worries. At some point in my life I realized, I'm actually too old to enlist, and then had to hang my head and think, wow. Then that's when I had to come up with the Vegas blackjack dealer as my life has totally hit the wall. There's
a lot more opportunity for explosive stories and excitement in the Vegas blackjack dealer.
I'm excited. I'm totally excited now about and that one I will never age out of being a Vegas blackjack dealer.
Because you can go there and you see like 75-year-old women.
Yep.
Still dealing.
I may not be able to be at a very fine hotel, and it may not even be Vegas. It may be Gene. Did you stop in Gene?
Oh yeah. Where did we stop last time on our trip to Zion? Mesquite?
Oh yeah, Mesquite. But it said Mesquite
is that what it is?
I think Mesquite's in Arizona though.
I don't know where it was then. It was somewhere en route to Southwest. We did pass through Arizona, Southwest Utah. Yeah, there's a bunch of way worse places than Vegas.
Oh yeah.
So I have 2 brothers in the military, and my girlfriend's family has family in the military and stuff. There is a certain comfort to knowing exactly what your career trajectory is.
I mean, you put yourself
and your earning potential.
You put yourself on that wheel, and you literally, as far as I can tell, from my perspective, never have to think again. If you decide at 18 to go career military, I'm going to be career. You retire at what? If you go in at 18, you retire at like 30. 50? No, I think it's less than that. I think you retire at like 40 or something.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then you get your VA benefits, your blah, blah, blah. It seems like if you're not going to spend your money wildly, it's just a path that's mapped for you.
Which there's a lot of comfort, and I see the value in it. I'm thrilled that other people are willing to do it so that I don't have to, by the way. But we were having like a conversation about actual like rubber hits the road and her brother, and like, oh no, they're going to get married sooner rather than later because then she can get on his benefits and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what does it come down to in terms of numbers, And she's like, I think it's an extra like, I don't know, like $1,800 a year or something. And I was like, wait, what?
You're going to get married for $1,800
You're going to change your romantic like direction in life
for $1,800.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
And then, but over time it ends up becoming $12,000, or whatever. And I was just like, that is not enough money.
But I think that's the way, if you're going to be good at the military, again, I have no personal experience, but I would imagine that's exactly the kind of thinking you have, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, if you want to be career, if you're not just going in for your 4 years and then getting out, if you are, I've decided, and better yet would be go get a degree, any simple degree, to go in as an officer and then do that whole route.
And the alternative for some of those people is, or I could just go get a job
as a construction worker,
and I won't ever get that $1,800 bonus.
Yeah.
I'll just get like incremental increases every 3 years that'll amount to nothing.
Go drive for Amazon.
But for me in my head, I was just like, gosh, I need, even if we never bring an actual sponsor back onto the show, I need the allure of, well, we might. And it'll net this amount of money. And if we get 3, then it'll be that amount, like I need to think that I could win the lotto.
You know what?
Just because that's a more exciting way to live.
You know where lotto thinking gets you?
Bankrupt.
A career as a blackjack dealer in Vegas.
Exactly. Exactly. Hoping that the whale falls in love with you and sweeps you off your feet.
Yeah, still dreaming.
All right. So actually in surf news, after what is being called the biggest day ever at Nazare, the government officially bans surfing in an effort to prevent crowds from gathering and COVID from spreading. Did you know COVID is still a real threat?
I mean, I couldn't even believe it.
It's in the news still.
When I read that.
Honestly, 30,000 people showed up to watch. I've been to Nazare. There is not room for 30,000 people. Certainly not on that lighthouse.
Yeah.
But then if you go back into the hills, I guess you could spread out. But you see the photos of that. People are shoulder to shoulder for acres and acres.
Ain't it weird? Ain't it weird though? Get back to the COVID. Get back to the shutdown. It's not that interesting, right? I mean, it's just shut. They're going to do workarounds, I think. Right, is the thing. I
have no idea, dude. Or everything gets locked down again.
I mean, it gets locked down, but I think if another big swell comes, they'll figure out how to get. You just can't. I think the road will be blocked. You won't be able to watch, but surfers will be able to be in the water doing it.
It makes sense that they would let people surf, but not let people crowd.
I think it'll be something like that, just to let all the air out of that story. But here's the thing: that imagine getting 30. I mean, I guess it's just hard because you never know when it's going to hit. But that is 30,000 people went on a moment's notice, more or less, or a couple days' notice. Yeah. 30,000 spectators. Like, I do not understand. I go back and forth with how big wave surfing cannot be monetized. But how does people, I would imagine if the municipality or the government set up a ticket booth and actually blocked it off and sold tickets, that they could sell a ton of tickets. You could have merch there. You could actually have betting on the surfers. I mean, there is so much to do. What in surfing? You could do that at Nazare. You can do it at Jaws. You can do it at Waimea. You can do it at, what other big waves in the world? Do people flock to go see?
Those are the main ones?
Okay, so we got 3 at least. 3, and I'm sure we could figure out some more, right? I'm sure there's more that break that people flock to go see. I guess you could almost, even though it's a full burger, Big Margaret's, maybe. When Margaret's gets huge.
Punta Lobos.
Yeah, but I don't know if people flock there to go see it.
Yeah, local community does. Nobody travels from out.
Yeah. But no 30,000 people. No. But
Pipeline would, but that's not a big wave necessarily.
Anyhow, though, the amount of what you could do to ramp up the this is happening natively and naturally. There's no advertisements drumming up people. Hey, go out to Nazare. Buy your ticket now. We got hot dogs out there. We got cold beer. We have whatever Nick Von Rupp t-shirts and a betting pool. We have all kinds of stuff that would be. How is this not happening? Tell me.
Well, I wonder if it's a public place.
I know, but the government of Portugal could figure it out.
Would they sell hot dogs in Portugal?
No, they'd sell whatever that fish soup is. Paella, whatever. Yeah.
That's Spain.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
They have sardines there. Yeah. I hear what you're saying loud and clear.
They could do it. I mean, the government could do it.
They could figure out a way to do it for sure.
Yeah.
They could jump those loopholes or just offer. Yeah.
I mean, so you just sell it as a concession. WSL buys the rights to it, and then WSL runs the event.
Well, so that is kind of the other detail here is the WSL waiting period started a day after that massive swell.
How in the world do you not move your waiting period up a day?
I don't know.
I mean, that is I understand government regulation, how Nazare and Portugal love putting that thing on the map.
Exactly. Yeah, they would have accommodated.
They would have accommodated. The other surfers, too bad, I suppose, and, all the surfers who came in, but, you wouldn't announce it the day of. How long in advance do they know that swell was coming?
Yeah. Long enough to actually get all that approved, I would think. Let's, again, not to rush through the story, but to keep with your timeline. The big story is that a fight broke out.
Yeah.
Nick Von Rupp got burned on a wave. Ski driver number 1 confronts ski driver number 2. The surfer on the back of ski number 2 apparently jumped off and assaulted the ski driver on ski number 1 who came up to confront them. Is that the story as you read it?
I mean, that's what everything was. The details were so very sketchy. Did you see today, though, Nick Von Rupp posted the actual him bumping is Zhao something.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
And he was like, we bumped.
Are you talking about on the wave surfing or on the ski? Oh, yeah, I saw the footage of him hitting him on the...
Yeah, Zhao Guedes, but Nick Von Rupp posted on Instagram, I guess this is even 3 days ago. Oops.
I watched Nick Von Rupp's... So Nick Von Rupp has a vlog called Von Froth, and I watched the clip. And I mean, Nick was going a million... Like, Nick got the wave. There's so many people in the lineup. First of all, there is going to be pandemonium, but Nick certainly took off way deeper. The other surfer was way out on the shoulder. Both skis cleared off the wave, so it was just 2 surfers. And Nick went so fast and caught up to the other guy. The other guy couldn't have even anticipated Nick going that fast. And Nick ended up in the tracks of the other guy. And there's so much skittering on that day. Like everybody's bumping and you don't really have that much traction. So Nick kind of got projected into that guy's wake and then ate crap in his wake right as he was like making contact with the other guy. That other guy should not have been towed into that wave. If you had seen the other tow team out the back going, you should have just not towed into that wave. Nick couldn't have avoided him.
I mean, how in the world though, like with, again, less and less, I suppose, opportunity for big wave surfers. I mean, this is what they need, right? Not assuming they also love it, but Nazare breaks great maybe once a year.
Couple times.
Jaws a couple times. So the resource and the amount of people now doing it seems like a ton more, right? I mean, back in the day, well, and I guess Nazare is the only one that people go toe crazy at too, right? I mean, Jaws is basically a paddle wave now.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe Nazare is unique, but just the freeway of skis out there, drivers, surfers. I mean, the whole thing, I just don't know how clearly there's a way that they organize it, but it seems like it finally broke at Nazare in terms of this is an uncontrollable thing. The
other detail that was kind of in all the commentary throughout all of this is we don't really care to watch it anymore.
I mean, did you watch live?
As crap. No, I didn't watch it live.
Did you know people who watched it live?
No.
Did you hear anybody say, I watched it live and it was incredible?
No. Even the Instagram clips the next day, I scroll past.
Yeah.
Because ultimately what I've decided, we can pick apart why. Like, is it a burger? Oh, it's because it's a burger. Or it's because they're towing and not paddling. All that it comes down to is, if you've seen one Nazare, you've seen them all.
Yeah.
Pipeline isn't that way. Pipeline, there's all of this kind of detail in there, and like for whatever reason, it's a little bit more relatable because we're used to waves barreling and that's what we're all looking for, something. For whatever reason, Nazare, it feels like I've seen this before. It's
even though it is the most visually dynamic wave, I mean, between the lighthouse and the way that you can look at the angles, all of it, I am agreeing with you, which is odd that it is that way because it really is like a spectacle. I bet live it's incredible.
Of course.
Which is why 30,000 people would pack in. I bet seeing that live is like mind blowing.
No question.
Yeah.
And surfing it, going that fast is probably the thrill of your life, you know? But watching it, watching Mullaghmore in Ireland on the same day, I'm riveted to the screen every single wave.
Yeah, that's true.
Nazare, it's like, I've already seen this.
Yeah.
How is this different than what I saw last year? Oh, it's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
It's still a burger, and it still looks like snowboarding more than surfing, you know?
I hear you.
So, all right, we should get to Barrel or Not so that you can get out of here on time. We'll go to commercial break, and then we'll come back. All right, Chaz.
Great, we still have commercials.
Yes. I don't know that any play, but we cut away. Anyways.
Perfect.
By the way, I started watching The Great.
Yeah, love it.
Fantastic.
Phenomenal.
It's very, very good.
Gets better, too.
I didn't know it was about Catherine the Great.
Yep. Makes it even more interesting.
Super compelling story.
Yep. The whole thing.
One thing you should start is The Undoing.
Okay.
On HBO.
Will do.
Nicole Kidman, Hugh Grant.
Already excited.
A distinguished elderly Hugh Grant.
Love it.
Upper crust New York couple. A murder happens related to their children's private school, and it unravels everyone's life.
Very exciting.
It's very, very good.
Thank you, David.
They're 2 episodes in. Barrel or Nah. High-fiving a buddy as they pass you on a wave.
Nah. I mean, Kelly and Rob were the first people who were allowed to do that, and also the last people who were allowed to do that.
Look, they hit the zenith of it. Can you do it better than that?
No, you not only can you shouldn't.
Okay. So if a buddy gets the wave of his life and he's flying out of the barrel, let's say, coming down the line, you're right there. You're not going to reach out a hand to high-five him?
No. Splash him. Yeah.
All right.
Throw him a shaka.
Let it be known.
Yeah.
That came from a listener, by the way, so thanks for that. I will say, in relation to surfing with other people, last week maybe it was a pretty marginal day, but the wave of the day came to me. And it was a left, and it was going to barrel. And I got it. It came right to me, and I was like, shoot, this is actually going to take a little bit of skill to make this drop from the angle that I'm paddling in and the way it's approaching. Like, it's going to take some skill to get in this thing, but it's going to barrel, and I'm going to pig dog stance into it, right? So I make it. I make it into the wave. Like, get barreled down the line, eat it, did not make it out of the wave, made the drop, got into the barrel, rode it for a little bit, did not make it out of the barrel. Immediately pure disappointment. Like, I'm underwater, hating myself, hating my life, hating the fact that I didn't make it. Like, God, it's because I'm out of shape. It's because of X, Y, and Z. Like, God, I should have, if I get that wave again, I'll do this instead. Like, come out of the water, 2 guys hooting, 2 random strangers going, one guy like, oh, that was sick. One guy just whistling. And I'm like, immediately
felt better.
I
didn't need to come out of that.
No, I was like, I still should have come out of it. And like, honestly, I could have come out of it if I knew what I was doing. But them validating my effort made me realize that was the wave of the day. It did come right to me. I did get it. All of the good things about it.
We should start validating each other more in the lineup. Aside from adding to the list of things we could do, not a high five, just a really great shaka, a whistle. Keep your hands to yourself, though.
Okay. It didn't make me feel better because they validated it, but it shifted my headspace into
thinking what was good about it.
Yes, that was a good experience, not a bad experience.
So new rules of surfing. Then we have number 1, burn every wave storm. Number 2, really hoot the guy who does extra effort.
Okay. Awesome.
Second rule.
I'm in. Okay, good. Barrel or Nah, number 2. You were talking about nicknames earlier, Kanga. Yeah. It's funny you said that. Barrel or Nah, number 2. Creating a pseudonym with a phonetic spelling. Rappers are famous for this.
Yeah.
So we have Exhibit, just spelling it with the X. Eminem, phonetically spelled out. ASAP Rocky. Like, I'm thinking...
ASAP is not spelled out. It's just ASAP.
It's a $, even better.
Throw a $sign in your name.
So, but I'm thinking there's an opportunity in the surf world. Kanoa could change it, and maybe it wouldn't be phonetic, but adding some, like a symbol into there. Or Kaloe would be the perfect example of being able to... Somebody needs to shirk their God-given name or their parentally given name and design, like, brand themselves.
Rap style. I totally hear you.
Sierra could brand herself.
I hear you.
She doesn't need Kerr.
I am all for it. I am all for surfers doing more interesting things with their names.
Branding themselves.
Yeah, branding. ASAP Rocky. I hear you. not phonetically, but just choosing a different name, like Pitbull.
Yeah.
I don't know what Pitbull's name is. Do you?
No, I have no idea.
Yeah, his name is Pitbull.
What about 6ix9ine? You ever know that rapper?
Tekashi, of course. Tekashi,
Where it's
Tekashi
spelled
6ix9ine.
with the number 6 and then IX and then the number 9. Yeah.
I mean, phenomenal. Yes. Full barrel.
Full barrel.
100%.
I feel like maybe Sierra is the right person to do this because the name stands alone.
Yep. And just make her S a $.
There could be, if that's the start, and then we got to figure out how to work out the rest of her name.
I mean, she could also be like Lil Kersey or something.
Yeah. No, because her dad already had Kersey.
Yeah, but there's something there for her. I hear you. Sierra's the one to do it.
Lil Sierra.
Since she's going to be the most famous surfer in the world anyway.
I see a logo too.
Yeah.
Like we can bring back the Sierra Mountains.
Yeah.
So there could be mountains. Maybe the mountains make up the R.
They just shouldn't look like the Patagonia Mountains.
No.
That's my only worry.
No.
It's my only concern.
Okay. We'll work on this. We'll workshop it, bring it back.
So
Any
excited.
listeners who have creative ability as graphic designers, feel free to submit. All right. So we're going barrel.
Full barrel.
On the pseudonym
Big
phonetic thing. All right. Barrel or not? Trophy trucks.
Oh, huge barrel. I love a trophy truck. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to actually go bang it through the desert.
No, they don't though. That's kind of the idea. Like you have people in your neighborhood who drive a $90,000 Ford Raptor.
Yeah.
That'll never see the desert.
Not off the lot. Not off the lot. No.
But that's what a trophy truck is.
No, a trophy truck is like a full-on Baja 1000 in my mind. At least.
Well, those ones are winning trophies.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My thought with a trophy truck
fancy truck.
It's like a trophy wife.
Oh, no. I mean, I'm not.
Okay, for clarity, for this barrel or not.
Yes.
The guy driving the
Raptor.
$90,000 truck that never sees the desert.
No barrel. Very clearly no barrel. Like that's your truck, even though it's fancy, was still built for that. Like
I know.
So go enjoy it. Let your truck free.
We live in Southern California, so this is a phenomenon around here. I don't know how much it is elsewhere in the world, but if I surf Huntington Pier, I see more Toyota Tundras that are lifted. And those things, I'm not kidding, they're so expensive.
Sure.
$60,000.
But without one speck of dirt on it, without one, that has never been off-road.
You need to buy new tires, $2,500, $3,000. Like, and it's because you drove it on the 405 endlessly.
Go bang that thing out. And that's the thing too. You have no excuse, especially around here. There is so much desert driving out there. There's this stinking King of the Hammers place. I think that is open, I don't know, year round, but you can go rip through there.
I know.
Barrel.
All right. Wait.
I mean, sorry, no barrel.
No barrel. Unless you take it
Unless you take it out.
Fair enough. I agree with you entirely.
Yeah.
I cannot, by the way, fathom how expensive those things are. And by the way, Jeeps, have you looked into the price of a Jeep?
Yeah.
These things are outrageously expensive.
They've got to pay for their WSL sponsorship.
I guess so.
How else are they going to write that check?
I guess so.
$800 a year.
If you did live in like Southwest Utah or whatever, there's nothing more fun than off-roading in a Jeep. Like that is awesome and do it. And like, I would imagine your $50,000 goes to the mechanics of the Jeep. It's not into the luxury of the Jeep.
And it's also, it's also into your own personal pleasure while you're doing it. Like that's $50,000 worth of fun right there.
Totally. But we see Jeeps around here all the time that definitely never see the desert. So
take it out to the desert.
I agree.
Go to Baja.
Get yourself a sedan.
Come on.
All right. So no barrel on that version of trophy trucks.
No.
Gotcha. Okay. No barrel high five. Yes barrel pseudonym. No barrel trophy truck.
Fine barrel or not.
The results are in. It only took us 15 minutes to get the results.
That's it. That's
Dude,
why
American Idol can count 180 million votes in a commercial break.
it's so true. I mean, that's what we need to do is vote by our text phones, and Ryan Seacrest should lead us in the voting.
I agree. That would have solved everything.
Yep.
All right, Chaz, thanks to Album Surfboards.
Finest surf shop in the world.
All right, until next week.
Get barrel.